We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Voter fraud. We have put together voter fraud. We have put together voter fraud, the most extensive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Everyone, welcome back. It is the Zoo Sunday Night Live here on the Prepared Mind channel. And folks, 10 days until we get to that day. Now, everyone, a lot of places are voting. They really are. Well, I want to start today's show with a quick little shot off my old USMC flask here. Ooh, single malt goodness there. Woo! Almost gets its own personality living in these things. Good stuff. I tell you what, folks, I'm lit. I've got scotch. I've got, some deplorable coffee here. Anyways, I want to let everyone know, folks, it is showtime. It is showtime for the Prepared Mind channel. It is showtime for the Zoo and Sunday Night Live, and it is showtime for President Trump. Right now, he is broadcasting, so I imagine we're going to have a little bit lower turnout for the first hour. But Trump is at Madison Square Garden. It almost looks like New York could be Florida. It could be any other Republican city. There's not many Republican cities that are that big, of course, but hey, it just appears to be that there's all kinds of support. It's off the hooks. And great supporters of the show, www.cafefe.com. I am your deplorable host, John, and here we go. We've got 2 hours to talk about whatever you want to talk about. We do. But our country right now is embroiled in a fight for its life, its spirit, and its soul. It is. Right now we have emergencies everywhere. And when I say emergencies, I mean emergencies. They are everywhere. We've got North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. We've got Florida. We've got Washington, D.C., and we've got emergencies around the world, right? And what we keep hearing is that, well, when there's an emergency, the government can take your guns, tell you where you can and can't go. In fact, they can tell you anything they want. They can tell you have to take a booster, the jab, right? Anything they want to tell you. And by the way, this is deplorable coffee with some Kraken in it. I am tuned up and ready to roll. Now get this, folks. The Supreme Court ruled back in 1866, shortly after the Civil War, in Ex parte Milligan 71 U.S. 2. Notice how back then the Supreme Court decisions had smaller numbers. Yeah, 71 U.S. 2. And it was never overruled, even though the federal government, the United States government, went from constitutional law to public policy during FDR's reign. But anyways, let me read to you a little bit of what was said about this. Quote, neither the legislature nor any executive or judicial officer may disregard the provisions of the Constitution in case of emergency. Now get this, folks. Understand, the people that want to claim an emergency has happened or an emergency is coming or an emergency is here. And the reason I'm reading this is because as we get closer to the election, as it becomes more and more obvious that Kamala Harris is going down in flames, we could get false flags, black swans, birds shitting all over us, right? These fake attacks. It could be a cyber attack, could be another fake natural disaster. It could be a terror attack. It could be a World War III. It could be an atomic explosion. It could be a nuclear bomb. It could be a dirty bomb. We don't know what. They're going to say it's an emergency, a pandemic breakout, breakout, whatever. The Kraken's working. Let me continue with the Supreme Court ruling. Quote, Section 98, therefore, anyone, they did all caps, means they're emphasizing anyone who declares the suspension of constitutionally guaranteed rights to freely travel, peaceably assemble, earn a living, freely worship, etc., and or attempts to enforce such suspension within 50 independent, sovereign, continental United States of America in making war against our Constitution, and therefore we the people, they violate their constitutional oath and thus immediately forfeit their office and authority, and their proclamations may be disregarded with impunity, and that means anyone, even the governor and president. So, now, back in 1866, there were not 50 independent, sovereign, continental states. So the Section 98 section came apparently after Hawaii was admitted. But however this works, folks, I know the law and I know the law. And no emergency allows someone else to violate my rights or yours or anyone's. For example, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They said that during the COVID lockdowns, your right to liberty was severely restricted, in some cases completely restricted. Well, pursuit of happiness, property ownership, but how about this? The right to life. If they can suspend any right, they can suspend all of them. And your right to life means, can they, when they suspend the Constitution in an emergency, violate your life, meaning kill you? Well, I'm going to tell you what. The United States military has been brought under the civil jurisdiction of the President of the United States under the Department of Defense a week and a half ago. They have a Department of Defense directive that says the military can be used with federal, state, and local law enforcement, and they are going to be authorized to use any force up to and including deadly force to execute, to obey, to fulfill the wishes of whoever is giving them orders. That is a violation of the Constitution, and no one is bound to enforce it or obey it. And that also is a Supreme Court reading. Now, let's get into this show, folks. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to start the show off as normal. What is normally the way we do things around here? We're going to have some fun, folks. Glenlivet 15, single malt, Scotch whiskey, new bottle, French Oak Reserve, and Chin Music wants to kick this show off with a $102.23 super chat donation. Now, I don't know if he's put his question into Jolene. I'm sure he has, but let's pour one of these off and start this show off with a kabang. It is going to get wild. Be sure, thumbs up. Be sure, share that internet address. And be sure, if you wish, hit that super chat button right up there and get your questions and comments right down here. Here's the Chin Music brother. I look forward to meeting you in person as well as many others. Here's the United States of America, the red, white, and blue. May the wings of liberty never lose a feather. God bless us all, and Semper Fi. Oh, like mother's milk. Chin Music says, as I watch thousands of New Yorkers line up 10 hours prior to showtime to see Big Orange, I'm heartened and head on a swivel all at the same time. Deep committed leftists like Van Jones and Chunk Yogurt are starting to hedge their bets with their own statements. I sent them to you. Yes, you did, man. Yes, you did. Their internals have to be devastating. And the most recent betting markets are 61-38 for Cheeto. Cheeto's Big Orange. Cheeto is Trump. And he says, if you could back up, let me get the first couple letters there. I'm thinking he gets elected and then they block him in Congress and all hell breaks loose. Thoughts? The Prepared Mind is one of the best talk forums around. Thank you very much, Chin Music, for that compliment there at the end. Now, we have a lot of people in the chat who have been here for 10 years. We have a lot of people in the chat who have been here for 5 years or more, 2 years or more. we have an awful lot of people who are well-versed in current events, political science, geopolitics, as well as prepping and self-defense and an understanding of American law, right? Our show lawyer is out of Texas, and he has made arguments in front of the United States Supreme Court. So we have some inroads, if you will. We used to have connections in the Trump White House, believe it or not, via Dr. John, one of our top secret insiders. But right now, folks, the secret squirrel sauce is very quiet on the down low, on the QT. They're keeping their cards close to their vest in the Trump campaign. They're playing it like champs. And I think we can all agree that this time Trump is not getting schnookered. Every single time Kamala opens her mouth, it backfires. Every time they attack J.D. Vance or Trump, it fails. It backfires. Information, I don't think, is leaking out of the Trump campaign. Instead, information is coming into it. And yes, Van Jones, he is a communist. He is a communist. I don't think there's any better way to describe him. Now, let me refer to you what Chin Music was talking about. Van Jones says this, according to the Rabbit Hole, quote, if progressives have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are toxic, and all billionaires are evil, it's kind of hard to keep them on your side. If you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. Now, yeah, he is hedging his comments. He's letting him know, hey, this isn't how I would have done it. And Van Jones, folks, as much of a fucking commie as he is an incredibly intelligent man. I don't know how he could side with communism because it is the most evil, murderous political system the world has ever known. So why you would want to be a part of that, except to say that you want to be a part of it and be in charge? Okay, now I understand it. You're you would willingly accept, acknowledge, and operate as a communist, knowing that it's murderous and evil and anti-God. And that's what Van Jones has chosen for himself. But he does say, and let us know the facts, folks. Yes, all white people are racist, according to the Democrats. You can't help it. You're white. You must be racist. There's no way out of it. Even if you admit you're racist, you're still racist. All men are toxic. That's me. I'm toxic. Look at me toxify. And all billionaires are evil. Well, Bill Ackman said, well, then fuck you. I'm going to criticize the Democrats. I'm going to lend, at the very least, partial support to Donald Trump. And Elon Musk, he used to be more of I would call him an independent. He really wasn't into politics. He's a scientific geek. Well, Van Jones is correct. They've chased everyone they can out of the party, and then they're mad why they're not getting any fucking support. Well, very interesting stuff indeed. Anyways, Chin Music, you are correct. Man, we've got our hands full. 10 days to go. I hope you're prepared. Just a few feet right there. Literally right there. Several hundred rounds in 223/556, depending on whether you're doing SAE or metric. Also, full magazines for a 12 gauge AR-12. I am now set, fully loaded, because any day now shit could get stupid. And the last thing I'm going to do is spend half an hour loading magazines while people are dying in the fucking street. Now, I got to tell you, folks, you guys have been great. You've supported this channel. Even though YouTube doesn't want to admit it, you guys are doing the right fucking thing. You guys, and YouTube wants to punish us at the same time. We're getting more views. This internet address, share it. Your thumbs up is telling people to come here, even though the numbers don't reflect it. It says 234. But my numbers on the backside, when I go dig in, are better because you guys are kicking ass, and I want to thank you for it. You're spreading the word. You're spreading the internet address. You're hitting the thumbs up. You're sharing everything you can. Thank you so much. And you are also guerrilla supporting the channel, our effort for free speech, the Second Amendment, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Yeah, all of those in the Bill of Rights. You hit that super chat button. You get your comments on the screen, and we talk about them. There is a lot going on out there, folks. Way more than we're going to be able to cover, but let's cover all we can. All we can. And I hope you enjoyed the thumbnail, which is Michael Obama with full beard and mustache talking shit. Talking shit. And I hope you all have been getting my posts that I put out all day long. You know, I missed Friday's free-for-all. I apologize. I got sent in the wrong freaking direction. Could not make it back in time. What a hell of a week. Cleaning up this mess here in Florida. Oh, man. Anyways, we've got a big mess to clean up with the whole country. Whole country. Anyways, folks, thank you so much. Wound up on coffee, alcohol, chewing tobacco, fucking chili dogs today. Good golly, Miss Molly, let's roll on. I tell you what, we've got Darcy T, and she has checked in with a $50 super chat donation to PayPal. So let's get her question, her thoughts into the show as we kick this bad dog off. And you, super chat button up there, you can get in line to be the next one. Here we are, one for Darcy T. Glenn Levitt. Single malt. This is really a good damn scotch, folks. You get a hint of the French wine from the oak barrels. Anyways, Darcy T, thank you for the great support. She also takes care and continues to provide us with people who just make us wonder how the hell they died. Right? What the heck happened? Geez, we'll have to take a wild guess. We'll get to more of that in a moment. But for now, hey, Darcy T, semper fi to you. Thank you for all the great support. Salut. I tell you, mixing the Kraken and scotch, that's something. All right, she says, here's my question for tonight's zoo. The globalists, that means the Bilderbergs, the New World Order, the Illuminati, and their current incarnation, is the World Economic Forum. The globalists and their cohorts, meaning they're willing political dupes they've put in office. The globalists and their cohorts seem to be doing everything in their power to incite civil conflict, right? What do we call that here? Partisan conflict. And they're targeting the election to promote division amongst the American people. What do you suppose they will do if the American people don't react, even if there is a clear election tampering? Well, I'll tell you what. The election tampering is on the side of the Democrats. I guarantee that Democrat cheating is massive. I guarantee that Republican cheating is infinitesimally small. Infinitively small, like 0.001%. I doubt the Republicans are going to cheat, but they're going to do all they can to stop the Democrats. Cafefe.com. Now, I want to get to the meat of the question here. What do you suppose they will do if the American people don't react? Okay, let's say this. Kamala and all of the Democrats cheat, and she is the winner. Their announced winner. Well, I don't think the American people on the Republican side are going to fall for it. I have no idea how that reaction is going to fall out. I really don't. I do not. I would think that Republicans would be extremely disappointed, supremely pissed off and suspicious and accusatory towards the Democrats, and rightly so. But I don't know if they'll become violent. I know they want the violence. I know they want civil conflict. But if Kamala's the president, why bother? Why bother inciting violence? Other than to give them excuse to use the Department of Defense directive to start going after, arresting Americans who are pro-Trump. I'm looking out for that. Now, on the other side, okay, now this is where I think we're going to go. Trump is winning in the polls, clearly winning in battleground states. Clearly, folks. Now, in early voting, his numbers are up 50 to 100% in early voting. That is completely unusual. His numbers are massive in early voting, mail-in ballots, etc. That tells me that Democrats know they're getting their asses kicked in the polls, in the ballot counting so far. They know the American people are sick of her shit. In fact, she's gone to a church. She's done a speaking engagement in a public place, and she gets, folks, even in church, she got shouted down. Even in church, she was heckled. Of course, she was extremely, well, I would even call it just fucking blatant pandering. Idiotic, retarded pandering. Trying to sound like Martin Luther King Jr. to the best she could, right? She uses fake accents everywhere. It's insulting to the intelligent mind. But everywhere she's been going, she gets shouted down, interrupted, heckled, and called names, including piece of shit. Hard to argue with that protester, even though I may not agree with that protester's belief system. Now, because we don't know who the hecklers are. We don't. We have no clue who the hecklers are. But you ask the question, what do you suppose they will do if the American people don't react, even if there is clear election tampering? The Democrats will accuse Trump supporters, and the election system of cheating. Absolutely. They will try to incite violence using Antifa, BLM, and folks, they'll even use fake Hamas and fake pro-Palestinians, even though the Hamas and Palestinian supporters do not like Kamala. Now, whether they come out on their own volition to try and raise hell because, you know, they're terrorists and see an opportunity to cause trouble in America, it would be more than likely Antifa dressed as pro-Palestinians. Because what do you do to be a pro-Palestinian supporter? First thing you do is cover your face with a keffiyeh, that black and white, stupid-looking rag they put on their fucking heads. Cover their face to hide their identity. Try and hide their racial affiliations. They'll have to bring out a few Palestinian flags, and then they start the violence. I believe that if Trump is the obvious or declared winner, they will start violence. That will give Kamala Harris as vice president. She's number 2, vice president and the presidential nominee. She will have all the impetus she needs to try and call out the military. Now, I've been waiting for Sergeant Major Michael to contact me via email, and I'm waiting, Michael, to let me know what the real military troops are doing. Message to Michael. I need to know what the fuck is going on with our infantry troops in the Army. Period. I'm also waiting for, if I can get it, information from the Marine Corps. I do have contacts active duty within the Marine Corps currently to find out what the real troops are doing. Now, trust me, right? It is the infantry who pulls the trigger in war. There's a lot of soldiers and a lot of Marines that line up behind them to support them. But it is the infantry, right? Are they willing to shoot Americans? Are they willing to follow orders from the commander-in-chief? I don't think so. I hope not, but I'm waiting for some more solid information on what the military is thinking, since the Department of Defense directive coming out of the Pentagon and the White House has been turned loose. Turned loose. I will not surrender my rights to a civilian authority, civilian law enforcement, or federal law enforcement or military. I'm not surrendering my rights to anybody. Because once you surrender your rights, you're less than a slave. You're a fucking animated meat sack to those people. I don't think our military is evil. I do not think our infantrymen, right, the 82nd, the 101st, Recon, the Marine Expeditionary Units. None of those guys are evil. Those are good Americans, and I don't believe they're going to follow orders. I'm suspicious of the National Guard for a lot of different reasons. From Kent State all the way up to Hurricane Katrina. There's a lot of suspicion there because a lot of National Guard is made up of law enforcement. And law enforcement takes their cues from anyone who signs their fucking paycheck. You cannot blame me or anyone else for our suspicions. That's a fact. You either follow the Constitution or you follow orders. And until you have disobeyed an order, you don't know what it's like to follow the Constitution. Trust me on that. When you have disobeyed an order based on whether or not it's lawful, then you can say you understand your constitutional duty. I'll go that fucking far. Because I've disobeyed orders, folks. I will not violate anyone else's fucking rights while in uniform. Anyways, enough of my bullshit. We've got a lot to talk about. Darcy T, thank you for the great support. I'm telling you, brothers, I did watch some of Hulk Hogan. He was out there speaking. A lot of people showing up to speak on Trump's behalf in New York City. We're at 280 people live right now. The only way we're going to get past that, folks, is if you share that internet address. Tell people, show up here as soon as you're done watching Trump. I get it. I understand it. I am competing with the Trumpster. He is going to be the president. We know it. We've got all kinds of trouble coming, folks, whether it's an alien invasion or a terrorist invasion, a terror attack. We got something coming for us. I can feel it. I can feel it. And I do not believe the military is going to allow themselves to be used by these political fucking hacks and anti-American communist types. That is my opinion, my thoughts, etc. Let's do this, though. Let's have some fun. You guys, you're waiting. You've been ready, and it is time. It is time. Let's do it. Jolene is in the background. Uman's in the background. And Dan Erickson wants to step out front. Dan the man with a $5 super chat donation. He says, hey, the kings and queens of yesteryear are still here in the shadows, pulling the strings of puppet politicians. Now, folks, this is a very accurate statement. When the United States of America was created, after the Declaration of Independence was sent to the King of England, well, then the French people, that is, got rid of King Louis by chopping his fucking head off for starving the people and bringing ruination onto his own people and the country of France. Other kings decided they did not want to lose their head. And rather than give up their colonial control, they gave, over a period of time, freedom to their people, then freedom to their colonies. Freedom, meaning you guys can rule yourselves, self-govern. But they never gave up their titles of nobility, except in the United States of America, where they're not accepted. Titles of nobility, meaning Dutch, Duke, right? Duchess, Duke, Earl, Count, Countess, right? Princes and princesses, as well as kings and queens. Monarchy, prelates, royalty, etc. The aristocracy, in other words, they are still here. They're there and they're here. They're everywhere. They went underground. They never gave up their fucking money and their estates, their boatloads of gold they brought over from the Americas that they got killing everyone in their path. They took that money, they put it into their vaults, used it as collateral to buy corporations, businesses, to buy influence from elected democracies. That's right, buying senators, ministers of parliament, congressmen, whatever the titles they are of the commoners. The commoners were bought up. They have very little, and the aristocracy has everything. And they just wanted just a little piece, just to be better than everyone else, to be superior. That's your Nancy Pelosi's, fucking mafia. That's your Chuck Schumer. You know what he is. Those are your sellouts like Mitt Romney, and Mitch McConnell and other rhinos. They pretend to be for the people. They're really out for themselves. They are the puppet politicians who have their strings pulled by the real money power elite. The billionaires at the World Economic Forum are the descendants of aristocracy. They use their gold, their silver that they stole from everyone for centuries to buy just a few politicians. Imagine this in America. 500,000 people elect one congressman. 500,000 people elect one congressman in America. All one of these rich people have to do is toss $1 million, right? And now they control that congressman who is an umbrella over 500,000. So let's just say they give $1 million to a congressman. They just bought control of each person in that congressman's district for $2. That's some cheap slavery to buy, don't you think? And they do that across an entire country. They don't have to, one aristocrat doesn't have to buy all 400 plus congressmen and all 100 senators. No, they'll buy a few. Another aristocrat will buy a few, and this one will buy a few, and that king will buy a few. That corporation will buy a few. This corporation will buy a few. Pretty soon, all the politicians are bought and paid for. And fuck you. Now we don't have representation, do we? So it doesn't matter whether you elect a Democrat or elect a Republican in most cases. They're going to obey the kings and queens, the prince and princesses, the dukes and duchesses, the counts and countesses, the earls, and all other said aristocrats. And even if they don't have a title of nobility, they are merely a billionaire who happens to own, massive corporations. They're playing the same fucking game. They'll buy their title of nobility. Hell, Mick Jagger, singer for the Rolling Stones, is Sir Mick Jagger. Did you know that? How can a homosexual musician be knighted, right? Sir Anthony Hopkins, actor, Hannibal Lecter. He's knighted. How can these, in England, they don't have senators, they have lords, which is a throwback to the old feudal system. They're the lairds of the land, the landlords. And then you have the commoners, the ministers of parliament. It's all bullshit, smoke and fucking mirrors. Because they keep their secrets, folks, and they keep everyone bought off. And on top of that, we have two great examples of control networks, the P. Diddy and the Jeffrey Epstein networks. They bring people in and charm them, make them want to be with the cool, popular, powerful people. And then they direct you to the drugs and the sex. And they film you so they can control everyone. And then they send them back out. Out you go, politicians. Out you go. Elites, out you go. Super wealthy, out you go. Entertainment and media industry. You are now our bitches because we've captured you on film committing all manner of disgusting crimes. Apparently, videos are being leaked, by the way, of P. Diddy's parties. And now a court has ordered, you guys need to stop that. No. That information needs to come out. I would rather have all the information from P. Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein's list come out public and let them go. Let P. Diddy go. Let him go. Let Jizzy Maxwell out of prison. I want to know everyone on that list. So then we go, oh, you're the criminals too. Now we can go arrest hundreds of you at the expense of letting P. Diddy and Jizzy go. I want to know who these fucking people are. I want them brought to justice. These kings and queens, aristocrats, and their organizations like the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and every office in Washington, D.C. that is for sale and has been bought and purchased with money stolen from us. I want them brought to fucking justice. Now, will Trump give us all of that? That's the hope. Do I believe that's going to happen? No, I do not. But the first thing we need to do is get fucking Kamala out of the way. Get this election done and get us to the point where we can start pressuring for more. Right now, the pressure is on for this election. Are you prepared for what's coming next? They know that if Trump is elected, we're going to push for everything else. I'm not fucking giving up, folks. This election isn't going to be like, man, I worked hard on that one. I'm done. I'm just going to sit back now and let Washington do what it does. Fuck that. This is just the beginning of taking our country back, folks. When shit has hit the fan, it's going to take years and another decade to get through it, if we're lucky. The Democrats, the Rhino Republicans, they're masters, kings and queens of yesteryear. They're not going to just give up and go, well, we lost the election. I guess we'll just climb back under our fucking rocks and into our castles and our yachts and our fucking super mansions and just be happy fucking everyone over through corporations. No, they want direct control, folks. They want the Department of Defense at their beck and call, at their behest, to declare any emergency, the reason and the justification for fucking us over, right? Suspending our rights. That's what they want. I don't want to give it to them, though. No. Anyways, thank you, Dan the Man. I'm started. You guys got me wound up. And Michelle Obama, the reason I put the bearded Michelle on there was, well, Barack came out. No beard, no mustache, closely cropped, super gray hair, looking like a fruitcake, trying to chastise black men, and it failed. In fact, it pissed off black men. Who the fuck do you think you are coming out chastising us, telling us we need to vote for a black woman who ain't black? Right? So that's why, Michelle Obama with the beard. Well, since Barack didn't have one, I guess Michael can. Right? And that was the joke there. I guess I shouldn't have to explain that. Anyways, it's all fun, folks. It's all fun. Let's see who's next on the Prepared Mind channel. I got to keep my wits about me. Woo! Who's next, Jolene? What are we going to talk about? What's on the scoreboard? And we've got Nancy Keg with a $10 super chat donation. And she says, just stop by to say hi. Been driving. Then 2 hands on the wheel. 10 and 2. That's how we were taught. Drive safe. She says hi. And a doctor's appointment. I hope all is well, Nancy. Sunday doctor's appointments. Never any fun. But hey, she says, Semper Fi to the Prepared Mind family. And Semper Fi to you, Nancy. We'll see you when you get back in all the way. Drive safe. And it's coming, folks. The election is coming. Nancy, it's great as always. You're here every Sunday and throughout the week on the preparedmind.club. All right, Jolene, Uman, who's up next? What do we got? We got Crunch a Bunch of Candy with a $2 super chat donation. And he says, say my name, Crunch a Bunch of Candy. Say my name is Ham as okay. Well, I tell you what. I got Ham as right here. Ham as, who pulls your strings? Oh, I ain't got no strings. Well, who's got their hand up your ass telling you what to do? Nobody's got their hand up my ass. And I don't. I do not go that way with Peppa Pig here. Ham ass. Ham ass. You think you guys are going to take over America? Why not? Patriots. All right, enough of that shit. I am not a ventriloquist. All right, thank you, Crunch a Bunch of Candy. As always, we could put his website up at some point in the show when it's convenient. He does some really cool, I would call it commando candy. Good stuff. Jolene, who's up next? We're hovering right below 300 people live. I know we're competing with the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, but it is Arizona Unplugged with a $5 super chat. And he writes, my $5 supper chat identifies as a $50 super chat. Take another big drink, John. Well, I tell you what, I've had a few now. I've had a few. Plus, I was drinking a big old Kraken coffee to get wound up. And I don't accept people who identify as. Sorry, not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. I saw that argument in a video today. It looked like a 5'4" 5'2" woman and an unattractive one at that. Talking shit to it looked like a 6'2" male flight attendant who wasn't one of those emasculated pussy types. And this little bitch was in his face talking trash because he refused to call her a him. He refused to accept her ID, her identification as a gender. He refused. He said, look, I'll call TSA. They'll come in here, throw you off the fucking plane. This little butch fruitcake. And she was butch, but far from intimidating. She was a screeching little bitch. I do not buy into people's desire to have their fantasies accepted as reality. Now, I do understand what you're doing there, Arizona. You want me to have a delicious scotch? You know, I did. I took a hit off the old flask. I've got the bottle of scotch here. I'm already, I would say, 1/3 of the way there. So, you know, it can be rough, but I just won't accept it. I mean, where do you guys stand? If someone, you know, like on TV or the internet, I see some of these people, I'm like, you're fucking retarded. You know, when I see them in person, I see a chick with a dress and makeup and a beard, I just start laughing at them. I can't fucking help it. I don't see them too often. I can't help it. They're fucking ridiculous, right? They are intellectual meatheads. They're gender confused morons. There has to be a high degree of retardation and some kind of skewed belief system that because they say so, I must accept. I mean, if they can, look, I'll play this game. I'll play this game. Any one of you fruitcakes out there, anyone, anywhere, if you want me to call you by your preferred pronoun, if you want me to accept your gender identity or your species identity at that, then all you have to do is accept that I am King John. And when I tax you at that moment, you will transfer your money into my bank account. And when I see your money has been transferred into my bank account, no less than $1,000, I will call you by your preferred pronoun for 5 minutes. Fuck these people. Literally. Anyways, Arizona Unplugged, I love the enthusiasm. I admire and appreciate your effort. And I'm glad you got on the screen with that so I could talk about these dunderheads out there who think we have to accept their deranged mental illness. And that's what it is. It is a mental illness. It truly is. All right, Jolene, who's up next? And Jolene's coming to you from the West Coast. Uman is somewhere in the middle up by in Illinois, and I'm over here on the Eastern time zone in the great state of Florida. And Jeff Poor with a $2 super chat donation says, remember, Jesus is king. Jesus is Lord. You bet. I've got no problems with that. I won't tell everyone you have to believe. It is a personal choice. It truly is. And you know, what do you do? You know, I've studied religion since 1989. I've professed my belief system, right? Love it. Folks, a lot of people find with religion comfort and satisfaction in their heart and in their mind, and that's great. It takes away a lot of stress and allows you to focus on, well, I would say making yourself a better person and going into life and treating others well. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I find it completely admirable. What I find disgusting and abhorrent is people who reject morality and any religion that truly embodies morality and then attack other people and do evil, like Democrats, like these pro-abortionists. They want to kill babies. It's awful. It's terrible. And then they want to claim that they're Christians. I know that's a long discussion. It's amazing, but wow, they're out there, folks. I want these leftists, though, by the way, to proclaim their belief systems so that we know who they are. I'm tired of them hiding behind the label of Christian when they're not. I'm tired of them hiding behind the label of American when they're anti-American, pretending to be Democrats when they're truly fascists and communists. And I love the fact that they are now doing just that. Right? When they show up at one of their pro-abortion rallies with signs that say, "Hail Satan," thank you for showing us who you are. Make notes of those who live around you in the 10-mile radius around you, folks, because that's who you're going to deal with if things get really sideways. Really do. Jeff, thank you for the great super chat. And thank you for the statement of faith. Let's move on. Jolene, who's up next? We've got Cottage Farm. Oh, good golly, she's starting off early with a $50 super chat donation. And this one is not merely identifying as $50, but it's got the fuchsia color to prove it. And there is a Glenlivet 15. And you guys are already putting a mighty dent in that bottle. Fresh off the shelf. Thank you, Cottage Farm. Here we go. Down the hatch, folks. Here's to America and all that is right, good, decent, and honest. I guess I'm about as American as you're going to get. And so are you. Truly, folks, we've got one hell of a fight in front of us. Woo! She says, "Cheers, fellow patriots. John, what shall we do if Kamala is elected?" Well, this is the question. I do not believe Kamala is going to be able to cheat enough. Now, whether or not I believe that, or I wish to believe that, or I hope to believe that, there is the very real reality that she might be elected. Or, let me continue if I shall. We get to January 6th, and Kamala, as Vice President of the United States, refuses to certify the election results that are presented to Congress by the Electoral College. Right? It's the same situation. What do we do if? I think it's going to come down to where you're at in the country geographically and what is happening in your city. I'm going to not tell anyone to break any law, nor will I tell anyone to do anything violent. But I'm going to say this. In your area, if Kamala cheats her way into office as president of these United States, my number one recommendation is support resistance legally. Now, when I read the United States Constitution, I see a body of laws that describe how this country is supposed to be operated. Cheating in the election process and system is not allowed. Right? It's not allowed. I do not have to accept an unconstitutional law, and I do not have to accept an unconstitutional election. Now, how is that fixed? How is it remedied? We're going to find out if she goes that far. Now, some states, I believe the governors will say, this is bullshit, we're not supporting it. And we would probably end up with a huge movement to nullify the results. There would be a huge movement to secede. Once again, I'm not telling anyone to violate any law or act violently. But I don't think Americans are going to eat this shit. I know a lot will. A lot will throw their hands up and go, whatever. We knew this was going to happen. What can we do? We can do a lot, folks. The protests would need to be off the rails and off the hook. And I would recommend joining any lawful protest in your city, in your county, in your state capital, and demand from all elected representatives to throw this fucking election out. Because there is no way in hell Kamala's going to win. Legally, lawfully. She cannot. She is behind in the polls. She's the complete dunderhead. She's lost the Hispanic vote, the black vote, the white vote, the Asian vote. She's lost them. She doesn't have anyone that wants to support her. Even CNN, even ABC, NBC, MSNBC Even their guests are coming on the show saying they're completely dropping the ball. They have run such a piss poor campaign that there's no way they can win. But again, your question, if Cottage Farm, there is going to be violence, no doubt. Whether or not Trump is elected or Kamala cheats, the left-wing radicals out there are going to go nuts and become violent. What should we do, you ask? We meaning law-abiding, patriotic American citizens. We need to do what we're authorized to do. Now, if I may, I'm going to quote the Declaration of Independence. I believe it's here on there it is, page 59. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. I'm going to stop right there. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, abuses meaning our rights violated, have we or have we not had our rights violated the last several years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Usurpations, usurping, stealing from, taking against our will. This election, right? That's what we're talking about. Usurpations, stealing our rights, our money, controlling our lives, right? But a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. In other words, the Declaration of Independence, right here, folks, tells us it is our right and it is our duty to tell that government, go fuck yourself, you don't own us. To declare it null and void, without authority. A lot of people will believe that means do not pay taxes. A lot of people believe that in order to get rid of a government like that, that you have to go to every office building that is claimed to be owned, every federal office building, and vacate it. To go in and tell everyone you will leave. There are no more federal employees in our state. I'm not recommending this, folks. I'm saying that I think this is what would happen. That they would need to be thrown out of their office buildings, the letters taken off the office building, any federal symbols or seals taken off that office building, because we're removing all symbols and people who would wish to represent the authority that has usurped our liberties, our rights, and our Constitution. And that would be a big step. What shall we do? I can't make that recommendation because I could be considered an insurrectionist. But what I can tell you is that's what I think would happen. State government, if you live within a lawful state, might do the same. Let me speak, if I may, for the state of Florida. I would not be surprised if Governor DeSantis doesn't say, this is a fraudulent election. The United States government has no authority. It is not only unscrupulous, it is not only fraudulent, but it meets all the definitions that I just read from the Declaration. And therefore, the state itself can act on its own behalf as well as the people's actions and throw the federal government out, saying it has no more right, duty, or authority to control us, and we have no duty to obey it because it has been usurped. It is owned and controlled by tyrants, Washington, D.C. That, my friends, would be the start of a massive shit show, and Washington, D.C., in response to that, would definitely use its new Department of Defense directive and instruct the United States military to come in and remove any, shall we say, civilian authority at the state level and bring us, the people, under its dominion again. In other words, starting a conflict. The same way the King of England used his military to try and subdue the American colonies back in 1776 and before. Remember, folks, the King of England was abusing this country, our colonies, that is, for decades until 1776 when the people said enough of that shit. They let the king know, fuck you, you have no authority here. We kick your offices out. And then the war started. In other words, if Kamala cheats, I see this country breaking into a revolution. Not a civil war, but a revolution, declaring themselves independent, and by right, justly so. Any government, folks, that violates your rights is a liar's government. Once again, I'm not telling anyone to violate any laws. I'm not glamorizing any of this. It'll be a fucking shit show. As things stand, the Democrats could not have picked a better candidate to be a bigger piece of shit than Kamala Harris. It is almost as if they've thrown the election, but they also appear to want violence. It's going to be a shit show. It truly is. Once again, my friends, be lawful. Understand your Constitution. Understand the Declaration of Independence. Understand your rights. Understand your duties. Understand the authority that's been prescribed for the government, and understand what authority they do not have. They do not have the authority nor right to violate any of ours. Cottage Farm, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And the shot, I'm very well tuned right now. And I will continue to be very careful not to incite anything illegal. Good golly, because that's how close we're getting to it, folks. The election, 10 days away. 10 freaking days away. All right, thank you, Jolene. Who's up next? Mr. Uman, I know you're in the background there doing your duty, keeping an eye on the comments. Make sure nobody violates the rights that they're supposed to have. No, it's not violate the rights, violate their statutes. Anyways, we got Dan Erickson back again with another $5 super chat. And he says, I wonder if Bill Gates will be out of the country next week. Right now, folks, the elites and their puppets, even high-level puppets, seem to be having a little bit of trouble. Bill Gates, well, he was told, you're going to have to come and answer for what you've done in the Netherlands. He lied. He misled. He deceived the people in that country. And as a consequence of them believing his Jim Jones juice lies, they administered said Jim Jones juice and put it in their bodies. And they became sick. They became ill. Many have died. Many are suffering injuries as a consequence of something that was safe and effective, that really wasn't safe nor effective. Bill said, you don't have jurisdiction over me. And in all truth, folks, in all truth, the Netherlands has no jurisdiction over an American. Just like the King of England, Keir Starmer, or whatever the asshole Prime Minister of England is, nor their parliament, they can go take a long walk off a short pier, if you will. They have no jurisdiction over me or Bill Gates. But if you want to be an international citizen like Bill Gates, yeah, he's going to have to go over there, or he's going to have to say, you know what, not coming, and he's going to have to be an international fugitive. An international fugitive. Now, for me, I really like the concept, the idea of being an international fugitive from world socialist, globalist control. Right? You're not going to tell me what to do. Now, Bill Gates, he's wanted to exercise power and authority, and he's got money over there in probably corporations, land, right? If he's trying to buy farmland in America, guess what he's trying to buy in Europe, folks? Take a wild fucking guess. I guarantee he's trying to buy farmland over there to, well, probably turn it into immigrant housing, to plow it under and say, ooh, farming is bad. And he's probably doing the same shit over there as he does here in America, and he'll lose that control if he does not submit himself to the jurisdiction of the judicial branch of the Netherlands. Now, will he show up in court? Will he answer? He may have to pay a fine, maybe do some jail time. I doubt all those things. It's probably just a fucking show trial. But it sure would be nice if it was something more than that. I'm hoping our good friend of the channel here, Rami Mersch, keeps us informed of what's going on over there with Bill Gates. And it would be nice if Rami is here and we're able to contact him and give him an email address so he can directly communicate with us. Because I don't think the mainstream media is going to want to, well, televise or promote news articles having to do with Bill Gates being held accountable for what he's done. Now, thank you, Mr. Erickson. We've done what we can there, and I'll definitely keep my eye on the international news conduit. Keep an ear there and keep listening over there. But I'm telling you, folks, the super wealthy may go hide under their rocks again. They've caused nothing but trouble for themselves. They love being the elites. They do. They don't want to give that up. Jolene, who's up next here on the Prepared Mind channel this Sunday Night Live Zoo? And it's Chin Music with the $9.99 super chat donation. And he says this: Kamala just said at a rally in Michigan that she's going to remove college requirements for federal jobs. Trump did that already in 2020. How did someone so retarded and unprepared pass the bar? Well, Kamala has a track record of what appears to be hoe-like qualities. So let's go back in her political career. She's demonstrated, as you've noted, that she seems to be both unprepared and mentally retarded. She talks in circles, she refuses to answer questions, and she has a series of word salad responses she gives at any time there's a question. She can almost read from a teleprompter, and anytime she's asked something uncomfortable about bad things that have happened, she breaks into a hysterical, witch-like cackling laugh. So she was vice president for 4 years and was completely unrespected. I don't think she was disrespected. I think she was unrespected by other world leaders she tried to talk to. So she's been kept here domestically. She is a moron. You go back to California. She was elected as a senator. California has an awful record when it comes to electing senators. I'm hoping that changes this year, that Republican Steve Garvey beats Shifty Adam Schiff, who's trying to go from being a congressman to a California U.S. senator. But that's where she was. She was a U.S. senator. She filled a seat vacated by, I believe, Barbara Boxer, herself a complete moron, who it was said that if they took her brain out and put it in a bird, the bird would fly backwards. So once again, California has a record of electing retarded senators. So Kamala fit right in. Before that, before being senator in California, Kamala Harris, a puppet, a useful moron and idiot, was the California Attorney General, where she has been roundly and notably criticized for keeping men, especially black men, in jail past their prison sentences. She framed, allegedly, many criminals. She even had them, she hid evidence, changed evidence, suborn perjury. There are all kinds of accusations against her as Attorney General. She even denied someone the ability to present evidence to exonerate themselves for being falsely accused, falsely convicted, and falsely imprisoned, and was going to get killed, murdered by the state. And the reason I use the term murder instead of death sentence is because the guy really was innocent. And he was black. And Kamala she was awful. People going to prison in California, in large part, marijuana, low violence crime people, right? She was awful. She is not beloved by black men in the black community for what she did in California. But before that, how did she come to her seat of power? Well, it was by not having a seat, but rather having knee pads. She broke into politics, literally, via the mayor, and a very powerful mayor at that, Willie Brown of San Francisco. She spent many days and hours on her knees, is the story that goes around. Before that, she was the squeeze of none other than Montel Williams. And there are pictures of her dressed like an extreme tramp when she was younger yet. So when you ask, how did she pass her Juris Doctorate? How did she pass the bar exam? Well, I don't. It appears that if she exercised her, shall we say, feminine skill sets on Willie Brown to get into office, it would make sense that she used those same skill sets not only after Willie Brown, but also before Willie Brown to pass the bar and to pass her college course. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. Literally in the least. Wow. I'm telling you, just wow. So, what do you say to that? I mean, how else can you explain someone so ignorant? I'd be surprised if she could pass a high school exam in the basic fundamentals of literature, reading, right? Math, arithmetic, right? Reading, writing, arithmetic, the basic fundamentals. I don't think she could pass a high school exam, much less college exam. Anyways, folks, the whole world sees her as a complete blithering idiot. And she looked now they've been accusing, by the way, and let me hit on this. Oh, if you got something to say, folks, super chat button right up there. Let me know what you're thinking. But one more thing, Chin. One more thing. The Democrats, Hillary, especially Kamala, Tim Walz coming out saying that Trump is Hitler-esque, Hitler-like, and indeed Hitler himself. Over the weekend, Kamala, videos of Kamala wearing a brown, some sort of overcoat, standing in front of a red and white backdrop, ranting, screaming and yelling as if she were Adolf Hitler. That was juxtaposed to Adolf Hitler wearing his brown uniform, standing in front of a red, white, and black Nazi swastika. She looked and sounded just like him, ranting, yelling, and screaming. Someone told her that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good look. Trump doesn't do that. He does not wear a brown coat and stand in front of a red and white backdrop or a red, white, and black backdrop, screaming and yelling. Remember Joe Biden with a dark surrounding, standing at a podium with red light. Very, very much a Hitler-esque Nazi type presentation. And they want to accuse Trump of being Hitler-like when he's not. It's absolutely incredible. It is, I would say, intellectually embarrassing for these people, except I don't believe they're intellectually embarrassed. Because still, to this day, a big percentage of Americans want to believe them and are willing to vote for Kamala. But I don't think it's going to be nearly enough, because she has lied so much, irritated, pissed off, backstabbed, and screwed over so many Americans in every racial class. Even homosexuals now are coming out and saying, voting for Trump. Gay men, gay women, gay couples. And you know what? If you're just gay, that's fine. I couldn't give a fuck. But if you want to groom children, I think you deserve some hot lead. But hey, look, if you're just gay and that's fine, look, I know gay people, folks. I couldn't give a shit. Just don't fucking throw it in everyone's face, right? But even they, in fact, they got, painting on their car. It says, I'm gay, not retarded, voting for Trump. There are so many folks from these special groups, blacks, Latinos, Asians, even men. Kamala has pissed off men. I mean, who has she brought out? A bunch of gay actors pretending to be macho, wearing a cowboy hat, or, acting like they actually work for a fucking living. Tim Walz wants to act like he's a hunter. Twinkle Toes, Tampon Timmy, wants to act like he's a macho man. She claims, right? Kamala claims that she owns guns. Tim looks like he's never handled a weapon in his life. They're not macho. And they keep accusing us, as we started the show, of being toxic, evil, right? Yeah, that's turned off a lot of men, even Democrat men, homosexual men, homosexual women, blacks, Asians, name your group. They're pissed at Kamala and they're voting Trump because it's not about their little special interest thought. It's because they want their grocery bill to come down. They want their freedom to go up. They're tired of the bullshit and the lies. And it doesn't matter, folks, whether you're any of those groups. You probably do not like terrorists being allowed in this country, being flown into this country, flooding across the border, gangs that are murdering, raping, assaulting, and robbing Americans of all ilk, folks. You think the Venezuelan gangs give a fuck if you're black or Hispanic American? No, they're going to rob you and kill you as quick as they would me or anyone else. They just don't care. Same with these terrorists from North Africa and the Middle East. These Jihad Joes, I talk about them frequently. I do not like the Jihad Joes. In case you forgot what they look like, here they are. These guys, these are not friendly Muslims. Folks, I know Muslims. Very nice, polite people. They're not jihadis. But the people coming in here illegally are. They are, and they're violent. You think I want violent, anti-American, neo-Nazis, white supremacist, skinhead motherfuckers running around the country killing people? No, hell no. I won't like them, and I don't like these guys either. Right? If you're about killing me and taking my rights, I don't like you at all. I want law and order, truth and justice. I want the Constitution, and I want a good country. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir, and we're up to 330 plus people live. Share that internet address. Give it a thumbs up if you haven't already. And let's keep the show rolling. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. Jolene, Uman, who's up next? And it's Davey D with a 357. Woo! Oh, no, I'm sorry. A $35.70 super chat donation. But I've got two of them, Davey. Two 357s. Oh, yeah. One of them's a 686 with a 6-inch barrel, silhouette sights, and a hair trigger. I took that line from, that would be the Army of Darkness there, Ash, and a hair trigger. Anyways, Davey D says, heard Young speaking Espanol. T-shirt was USA flag bordered with one with I identify as a 9. Holy shit. I think the scotch is working. The tingling means it's working. He said the T-shirt had a U.S. flag bordered with I identify as non-binary. That's a good shirt. Instead of non-binary, I get it. Non-binary meaning I don't know if I'm a man or a woman. Craziness, right? Craziness. Non-binary. I'm non-binary. I'm non-Kamala. I'm non-Hillary. I'm non-Obamanary as well. There needs to be that. Non-Obamanary. Kamala Harris, right? Hairy ass. Woo! A lot of people, folks, and what I do love, and I'm going to take your cue here, Dave, or Davey, as it is. When I listen to people talk about how much they hate Trump, they hate Republicans, and even hate the Constitution, there is anger and hatred. And hatred and anger and the call for death and destruction, pain and suffering. When it comes to Americans who love Trump, who love this country, there is an awful lot of satire, humor, sarcasm, and cynicism. But it usually falls under very humorous responses. I'm non-binary, right? All of the videos and memes out there that make fun of the left, the rainbow fruits, the communists, the pink-haired ninnies, right? All of them, the Palestinians, people make fun of them. They laugh at them. We use humor and fact to make the point. I find Trump to be hilarious. I find those who campaign against the left to be very funny, very humorous. right? They have a positive mindset when they're describing and debating a very negative anti-American faction within our country. And I'll call them a faction, which sounds a lot like fraction. They're a very small group of people wielding an incredible amount of power that is anti-American. And they have an even larger group, right? The hardcore Democrat followers who will accept any lie and use any soundbite or piece of information, no matter how dishonest or untruthful, like calling Trump Hitler. Really? Hitler? Really? Anyways, we're up to 350 people plus. It would be great if we hit 400 people live. Thumbs up. Let's do it. Let's go. Who's up next? Thank you, Davey D. 357. It's just so smooth when you pull the hammer back into single action. Just that crisp locking in place. Love it. Love it. Love it. Anyways, yeah, folks, you could call them Mexican Americans. You could call them Hispanic Americans. You could call them whatever you want. I don't care what accent, inner city, ghetto accent. When they're for Trump, you hear a positive energy that comes out of them, and a humor as well. A humor, because everyone, when you see Kamala saying some retarded shit, it becomes fun to point it out because it's just fucking funny. They think they're brilliant. They're absolute abject morons. All right. I haven't really had a chance. I've got like 30 different topics, but you guys are keeping me busy as usual. And that's great because every super chat that you guys hit that button or down below in CashApp, PayPal, thepreparedmind.club, Venmo, whatever you guys use to get your super chats in is making sure the lights stay on, the spam, the tuna fish, the chili, the baked beans, all of that in the Prepared Mind, shall we say, SHTF pantry. You guys take good care of me, and I thank you for it. Jolene, who's up next? We've got who's up next? Did Jolene go get another cup of coffee? Oh, here we are. Here we are. One more time. Dan the Man Erickson. With a $2 super chat donation. There he is. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. He says, I meant the Epstein list made public. I've had regarding Bill Gates leaving the country next. Now I got you. Bill Gates leaving America supposedly to answer in the Netherlands for his dishonesty and his deception and his false statements with respect to the Jim Jones juice. Could it be that the Epstein list could be made public? And we already know, folks, that Bill Gates has been on the Lolita Express, Jeffrey Epstein's jet that flies down to Little St. James Island. I guess what are they trying to claim that St. James the pedophile? Is that what that's all about? I don't know why, except maybe to spit on Catholicism and to spit on the saints with what they're doing on that island. There's a lot of testimony that suggests that children, minors, both men and women, took advantage of little boys and little girls there. We are well aware that Bill Gates was good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. But now the Epstein list being made public would include him as well as many others. But if Trump is elected president, if Trump makes it through January 6th and then makes it to an inauguration day and makes it through that without being shot, assassinated, killed, or what have you, at that point, making the Epstein list public, I don't think that's going to change the way Americans feel about Bill Gates. There would have to be some accusations that were made public along with it, specifically naming Bill Gates as one of the baddies. And what I mean by that is maybe some people did fly down to Epstein Island. Maybe they did take the Lolita Express down there. Maybe they did spend time with Epstein on his island in the Caribbean. And maybe they were offered pizza and hot dogs, pedophile style. And maybe Bill Gates said, no, I don't want to do that. But then why did he keep going back again and again and again? So you and I, we all have our opinions, right? We don't have all of the facts. Dan, I hope that the list is made public. I hope the facts are made public. I hope the accusations are made public. Right now, we have P. Diddy and apparently other celebrities with accusations, other women whose names have been named who have gone public and named P. Diddy and many others. That's why I said the evidence needs to be made public, because the court of public opinion, I think we should have it. I'm tired of this information being sequestered, locked away, redacted, hidden to protect the powerful. Well, you know what? The powerful got that way, right? They don't deserve protection if they're criminal. But of course, that's not how the game is played. You and I, you go speeding, do a 55 and a 45 and see what happens. Your ass is pulled over. They will own you unless you totally submit, pay their fines, and kiss their asses. But if you're one of the powerful, and I don't mean a mayor of a little town, right? These mayors or prosecutors who get pulled over and they're like, don't you know who I am? Right? And then they get arrested for being idiots, right? No, I'm talking about the truly powerful, like Bill Gates. People like Bezos, people like Elon Musk. They're not held accountable. And I'm not saying Elon Musk has violated or is a pedophile or anything like that, but he's extremely powerful. But then he's not playing on the side of the Democrats, is he? And that's why they are attacking him left and right. But people like Bill Gates are attacking us. People like George Soros are attacking us and our country, our Constitution. Companies like Coca-Cola say, be less white. People like Dick's want to violate your Second Amendment rights. There's a lot of companies out here that are very, very, very bad. Right? People in Congress who use insider trading to enrich themselves. They are very powerful, and they have people who will protect them at all costs. Right? Especially if they're already owned. All they have to do is say, look, you guys already own my ass. Let me go. Right? I'm your puppet. I'm your stooge. I'm your stool pigeon. Right? All these congressmen, both Rhino Republicans and Democrats, they're owned. George Santos, I believe, a disgraced, thrown out of office Republican, right, said that in Congress, there are literally cages where they keep their little sex puppets in Congress, if you can believe that. Well, I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but it certainly seems believable, especially since the butt pirate fruitcakes were filming their disgusting, filthy acts in Senate chambers. And they weren't prosecuted. They weren't arrested. They weren't held accountable. So, yeah, will the rich and famous, will the powerful flee this country? Like, Dan, I want to answer this question fully. Like Bill Gates. He may take the opportunity, yes, to get out of trouble before, right, he's really held accountable. It's possible. We're going to have to, you and I, on our side, we're going to have to wait and watch and find out. Could Bill Gates just get in his jet and fly away and disappear? And some fake Bill Gates, some lookalike, some clown, someone with a mask that looks like Bill Gates, be tried and held accountable and then disappeared also, supposedly, locked away. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't trust these people farther than I can kick them, and I'm not going to be allowed to kick any of them anytime soon. Anyways, folks, we're at this really weird place in world history. Right? You got President Trump and Elon Musk, and even Charlie Kirk was on a plane, and the pilot called him up into the cockpit, and they filmed unidentified flying objects, unidentified aerial phenomena. Were they aliens? right? Even they, and I'm talking about Musk and Trump, mentioning aliens, and not the kind that illegally came here, but people from space, I believe was the term that Trump used when discussing the topic very briefly with Joe Rogan. And he did very well, by the way, with Joe Rogan. And that 3-hour interview, no notes, no teleprompter, speaking improvisationally on every topic that came up. Amazing. We're going to find out, folks, what happens, whether we're going to deal with aliens or earthquakes, hurricanes, or Hessians, right? Meaning, in this case, when I say Hessians, I don't mean real Germans, but rather mercenary forces brought to this country to try and destroy it at the behest of their masters in the aristocracy. So that's called circling back. Jen Psaki, you should pay attention to learn how to do that. Okay, Dan, thanks again for the great support. Always, always, always good to hear your thoughts and questions. And we've got more. Yes, indeed, we do. What do we want to talk about next, Jolene? Ooh, who's up? And it is Misty Cook, those 10 steps, with a $10 super chat donation. And this is awful, and it's a good topic. Have you seen the actual list of missing people from Western North Carolina? I have not. I have not seen the actual list because I don't know if any of the lists I've seen are verifiable or true. So Misty Cook says they are saying 100 plus people missing, around 650 plus. We know it's for the lithium underneath. It's disgusting how the media, Media lie? Manipulate? Yeah. I've heard that it's thousands of people. How the media can lie. Yes, thank you, Misty. Yeah, how the media can lie. The media lie all the time. They carry the water. They carry the lies, the media does, of politicians, of their masters in big corporate business. Apparently, there is a massive lithium deposit under Western North Carolina, right where the hurricane did the most damage. The most damage. I watched a video that was released today of some patriotic American civilians who are trying to bring relief effort into this very area, Western North Carolina. And they were stopped by government agents who told them they're not allowed to go in. They're not allowed to bring supplies. They're not allowed to help. And the first thing I thought was, great. Talk to these guys, film them and everything they have to say. And then I would have taken that footage and gone right to the nearest sheriff deputy and said, take me to your leader. Take me to the sheriff. Get these people out of our way. We're trying to help people in need. There's missing people, folks. There are isolated people. And the good people, folks, the civilians, not the government of North Carolina, not county officials, but civilians, people just like me and you, using their tractors, their trucks, their resources, their gravel, their rocks, and have made bridges to cross rivers, literally made bridges so they can get people out, they can get supplies in, they can rescue people. And these rivers are not huge roaring rivers like the American River or the Colorado River. These are smaller rivers, but rivers nonetheless. Rivers nonetheless. So what is underneath this area? Lithium. Enough lithium is there, estimated by government documentation, and also in Arkansas. Apparently, it was released that a portion of Arkansas has enough lithium deposit there to meet all demands for batteries, lithium batteries worldwide. Now, the mega corporations who are more than likely controlled and owned by those same aristocratic, royal type people. And a lot of corporations, folks, are sub-corporations of ancient European aristocracy. Period. Just like the Federal Reserve is owned by other banks. It is not a federal bank. It is no more federal than Federal Express. The Federal Reserve is owned by European central banking cartels. And they operate at the behest of the European aristocracy and control the U.S. dollar, which in turn controls U.S. political puppets. Now back to the lithium, right? The push to energize the world is taking one hell of a punch to the chin because the BRICS union is getting stronger. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and dozens of other countries that are joined and united with them, right? They're creating their alternate currencies, their alternate energy. They want to free themselves. They want first world standard of living as well. And they're not playing this game. So it could be that these third world countries are going to tell the United States and Europe, get out of our country. You don't get our raw materials, our cobalt, our nickel, our lithium, our oil, our energy, our uranium. In fact, because Kazakhstan, which produces, I think, 40% of the world's uranium, which is enriched to create nuclear fuel pellets, right? They now have joined BRICS as of last week's BRICS summit, right? They've joined the BRICS, and China has the most nuclear power reactors on the planet being built right now. They're taking resources for themselves. And I'm going to get back to you here, Misty. So if they're taking the uranium, taking the palladium, platinum, oil, coal, gas, everything out of the BRICS union, and they're keeping it to themselves if they wish, where is the United States of America and Europe going to get its lithium from? North Carolina? Arkansas? Right now, also, folks, there is a silver battery that charges in, I think, half the time or less than lithium batteries, hold twice as much energy as lithium batteries, and have a usable life many times longer than lithium batteries made by Samsung, which is a South Korean company. But I'm sure the Chinese just need to buy one battery, find out how it's made, take it apart, and they'll sell it, folks. What do they care? Right? They steal patents from everything else. Look at their fucking fighter jets in China. They look remarkably like American fighter jets. So, Chinese will knock off all technology. China is getting gold and silver out of all the countries that America gets gold and silver out of. And silver is used industrially in military applications, solar panels, these battery systems that are coming. In other words, there's a fight, an international silent war to control commodities, resources, including lithium deposits in the United States of America. It has the appearance on its face of being a disgusting theft. Why not just use this thing called eminent domain in the United States of America to steal these people's property? Instead, using high technology, the HARP system, directing and creating very powerful weather systems to displace all these people and then offer them, pittance, a little bit of money for their property to go away. And so, we have missing people who have not talked to family members, people who have just disappeared off the planet, buried in, sadly, millions of tons of flood debris, mud, trees, buildings, roads, aggregate, just to be plowed over, missing. It's awful. I've heard numbers as high as 20,000, 30,000 people. I don't know. I don't know what the facts are, folks. I just know that when floods that big and destruction of that magnitude occur, people die. Nobody there who knew that this storm was coming believed it could do what it did. Nobody believed that that was possible. Now, down here where I'm at in Florida, right, we saw the hurricane coming, Hurricane Milton. We knew what hurricanes are capable of. And so people evacuated those areas. People up in Western North Carolina had no idea that things could get that far out of hand. They're in their homes, and the next thing they know, a huge rushing wall of mud, water, stone, and trees swept their homes off their foundations and crushed them, destroyed them. It's just awful. Not just one house or two, folks, but hundreds, if not thousands, of homes and properties were destroyed. Animals, pets, people, cities, towns. Awful. It's a great topic to discuss, and it breaks my heart, Misty, knowing it happened. And it disgusts me that rather than say, look, America, this is where we're at in the world. There's a lithium deposit there. And the companies that are interested in those lithium deposits, they have to go through state as well as local, as well as national, right? NEPA, right? The National Environmental Protection Act regulations to get these mines opened. They're going to fast track it. So the rich get their powerful resources and their control over the rest of us. It's going to get nasty. It's going to get ugly, folks. Who knows what the hell is going to happen next? I don't know. I just know that I don't like what I see. And we have huge political turmoil and upheavals that are in front of us. Thank you, Misty, very, very much for what you brought up there topic-wise. Oh, let us continue. Folks, we passed the 90-minute mark. Good golly, I'm getting a little parched here. 1 second. Got to wet my whistle. We've still got way over 300 people live. Who is up next? Who has something to say on the Prepared Mind channel? And he's back. It's Dan the Man Erickson again with another $10 super chat donation. And he says, glad you got a haircut last week. Love the show and all the fellow Americans in here with us. You bet, man. I had to get back in regs. I've been working with, well, like I said, but I'm surrounded by a lot of good people, military, civilians, and otherwise. I had to get back in regs. It's not quite high and tight, but it is pretty good and close. And yeah. I've been so busy with hurricane cleanup and work, life, my own stuff, my own disaster, my own flooding issues right here at home in the Prepared Mind bunker that I didn't have time to get the haircut, but now I finally have. And I got to tell you, the barber shop, I did not go to the Kamala barber shop. And speaking of that, Dan, Kamala showed up in, I believe, Philly, the city of brotherly love. She showed up in the city in a barber shop and went and sat in a chair and had a talk with some black gentlemen, kind of like Trump. She once again mimicked Trump, copied Trump, trying to show that she has a connection with Trump, a connection that she gets it. She's part of it. It looked wonky. It looked fake. It looked scripted. She's not comfortable around other human beings, real human beings. And I listened to over the weekend many, many, many black people who have gone on social media. And you know what they do? They talk about how they understand Trump. They get it. There's a connection there. It's not a shallow connection. One guy even said, look, Trump is being persecuted. As black men, we relate to that because we feel persecuted. We feel a kinship with Trump. And I laugh. I go, how can a guy who's 78 years old, who's white, and a billionaire, how can regular working Joes like us, how can we feel a connection with it? How can we relate to him? How is he, a white old billionaire man, relatable to so many people, including black women, including Asian women? Right? Because he is doing what we experience. He's worked in his construction company as a young man. He's not going to pick up a hammer and a shovel these days and work. No, he can't. Fuck, at 54, I can't go digging all day in the dirt. Right? But he has in the past. He's being politically persecuted. He's being persecuted by the court system, by law enforcement, by judges, by the media, being attacked. Right? So, yeah, we all can relate to him on one way or another. He speaks like us. Right? He doesn't speak with bullshit language. And I mean, he can use big vocabulary and big crazy words, but he doesn't have to. He speaks in such a way that we can relate to him. And I think one thing that is absolutely important, that Kamala can't simulate or pretend or act. She hates America. She hates the Constitution. She hates our country. As a consequence, she's not believable. She's not relatable. right? I did not get in life anywhere I got by giving powerful people blowjobs. That's no, and I wouldn't, right? That's not how we got there. We did it through hard work and fighting through prejudices and fighting the system, right? Dealing with, well, that guy got the job, that guy got the promotion, that guy got the raise because of who they knew and their insider shit, right? I got what I got because I busted my ass and proved myself time and fucking time again, just to be screwed over by the system, the court system, and had my wealth stolen from me by thieves. And so I get it, right? I can relate to Trump, who's having his life shit on, right? Because people are using the system and their power to fuck him over. I'm glad he's still a billionaire, right? I was a small-time general contractor developer, small time. He's a big-time developer, right? What has Kamala Harris built? Not a fucking thing. Not a fucking thing. She's used her power, and gleefully so, saying, with the swipe of a pen, I can have someone thrown in jail. Well, fuck you, Kamala. Nobody can relate to that. And it's not, there's no respect there. Because I know many people, folks, many people who have been harassed by government agents, unlawfully, unconstitutionally, illegally, and immorally attacked by people who have real power and authority. Not just me, but others. And so I see it and know that's how it happens. Fat ass Fani Willis, fat ass Letitia James, right? These bitches that attacked him, Trump, and Judge Ergodon and Cut Chutkin and all the rest of them, they're all cheats. And so it makes Trump more relatable. They arrested him. Mugshots. Found him guilty 34 times of no crime. He's the 34-time convicted felon who committed apparently no crime. Right? And that shit's all being thrown out. He was falsely accused by a woman, many, in fact, now that I think of it, of sexual assault, rape, groping, whatever, and it's all bullshit. Right? I've had people lie about me. So I get it. He's very relatable. He understands our plight. Trust me. He just happens to have a fucking jumbo jet he can fly around in. And I think, he represents we the people very well. He is not George Washington. He is not Andrew Jackson. But I would love it if there was $1,000 bill that was a legitimate, shall we say, currency or money that had the Trump face on it. I think that would just piss off and trigger the fuck out of the Democrats. That's good stuff. Anyways, thank you, Dan. I'm rambling on a bit. Get prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Trust me, right now, I'm extremely concerned about the election, even though I know Trump is winning. Even though I know Trump is in a lead, a commanding lead. Even though in order for Kamala to win, they have to cheat like they never cheated before. They're going to have to cheat so much that with a population of 350 million Americans, somehow over 500 million Americans voted, right? That's how much she's going to need to win. That said, I still, in my head, understand it's possible that Trump can be defeated by these people and that we're going to be put in a condition in an America that is without the rule of law and with the rule of a dictator. This country can be stolen from us starting November 5th, continuing on January 6th, and culminating in a theft on January 20th by installing a stooge named Kamala. By the way, you know why else she can't relate to people and people can't relate to her? Her name is Kamala Harris. Didn't she marry a guy, Doug Emhoff? Why isn't she Kamala Emhoff Harris or Kamala Harris Emhoff? She has never had children of her own. She doesn't understand the human experience the way we do. She doesn't. She never worked at a McDonald's. And as the joke goes, giving BJ's in the bathroom doesn't constitute working for McDonald's. She can't, no one can relate to her. Her mom was Hindu and Indian. Her dad is white. How can she be black? No one can relate to that. No one can say, yeah, I feel the same way. In fact, she won't even identify her gender. Or no, wait. Yeah, no, they did identify her gender. She can't identify her race, but her gender, she's a woman. She's supposed to be a woman. No, is she? I love it when other Democrats say she's a woman. We have to vote for her because she's a woman. How do we know she's a woman? I thought we couldn't identify. I thought we couldn't define what a woman is. She hasn't said I'm a woman, has she? Has anyone heard her say I'm a woman? I don't know. Maybe she has. I don't listen to her that closely. Fuck it. Who cares? Let's do this. Jolene, who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? Who's got a super chat? Who's got something in here? Uh-oh. It's Uman. And he's throwing down the gauntlet of a wrench. Bam. And he says this: the thing that bothers me is a lot of folks out there making serious claims, but never seem to have a camera to take pictures of what they're claiming, yet have a camera to make a YouTube video. Uh-oh. Oh, man, I'm going to need a little more information here, brother. Oh,
yeah, I figured I'd have to come in and explain that one a little bit. This is in regards to the whole North Carolina situation.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's absolutely horrible things happening there, but then you do see people coming out making some outrageous claims about, oh, right behind these cars behind me, there's hundreds of bodies in a tree. Well, you got a camera, you're making this video. I have yet to see pictures of hundreds of bodies in trees, even if they're edited out or something. But I think there are just so many people out there claiming to be on our side that are just grifting this for their own benefit. I think they're out there to get their
views and clicks.
Yeah, views and clicks, man. They're telling people, they're appealing to emotional reactions.
Yeah.
And they're getting views going through the ceilings, but they never seem to have the receipts, I mean, they make all these claims and that, oh, well, we didn't have reception where we were or this or that. Or it's like, look, there's no electricity. You didn't have electricity to take a picture with your camera, but you got the electricity to make this YouTube video making these outrageous claims. Yeah. I mean, that's why I have no faith in people on either side. There are so many grifters that claim to be on our side that it just disgusts me.
Yeah, I really have no idea how many people have been lost in this. I saw a lot of the footage and the destruction, and I've seen firsthand the power of water. Literally, the American River, the McCalmey River, the Feather River. These are all California rivers, folks. Big rivers, and when the water comes out of the hydroelectric dams, they let it loose. It's the power is incredible, and to see how it can tear the earth apart. And then seeing some of the early videos from the hurricane when water came rushing over hillsides. Of course, I would hope that everyone's seen big waves that wash up on a beach and knock people over. Water is extremely powerful. And so I'm certain people were lost, swept away, saw houses getting swept away, destruction, roads being ripped apart. I've seen California highways ripped apart by floodwaters up in extreme Northern California. But to claim that there's, people tangled up in trees and stuff, but no footage. Yeah, it's odd. I don't know how many people. In fact, the person who made the comment, they didn't list tens of thousands or 20,000 or whatever. They just said, 650 was the number?
Yeah, they said that the reports are that 650 are missing, but I mean, I've seen reports of 1,000 missing, and I can't imagine that the numbers are any lower than that. I mean, that really devastated a massive area.
That seems like a realistic number to report.
Yeah, well, the other problem is that a lot of people complain, oh, the media's underreporting it. They're only saying 100 and some people are dead. What they're reporting is confirmed deaths. That doesn't include all the missing. you know? So, I mean,
missing or unconfirmed. Yeah. Yeah.
right. So, I mean, these people jump to the conclusion that they're being lied to. No, there's a list of people unaccounted for, which was numbering in the thousands. And then there's a list of confirmed deaths, some of which, you know, if you're washed away under one of these mudslides and stuff, I mean, they may never find any parts of you after being pummeled through all that debris flow.
I guarantee there's going to be dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, that will never, ever be found.
Yeah.
I've seen, well, we've seen earthquakes. And then even these last two hurricanes, a woman was standing there talking to a news crew about the devastation from I think the tornadoes that happened as a consequence of the hurricane. And she's standing there and she hears her dog start whimpering. She turns around and starts pulling some rubble out, and there's her fucking dog buried. Luckily, this far from the surface, you know.
Yeah.
But to be buried under, 10, 15, 20 feet of mud is not hard to do.
No, they'll be found one day when somebody's digging a foundation for a new high rise or something like that. You know, I mean,
it's quite possible. Or, yeah,
it's very unfortunate. It's very sad, but you know, when these people portray it to be something that it's not, that's just as bad as what the mainstream media is doing by either lying about it or underreporting numbers and stuff like that as well.
Right. Now there was a tweet on X today. It showed an urban street, a city street, packed with people, shoulder to shoulder, the whole width of the street. And you saw a lot of red hats. And it said, "This is the Trump rally in New York City. The people are lined up." And it turned out it was from Ireland, of all places. Literally from years ago. And they just happened to be wearing red hats. A lot of them, like 10%. So you can see red throughout the crowd. But it's like, why did you use that picture when you could have actually used a legitimate picture of New York City from today where it was that fucking busy and that crowded, that many people lined up trying to get in?
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago there was some
bullshit.
A few weeks ago there were some pictures circulating about, the second great toilet paper shortage is coming and blah, blah, blah. And they're showing people lined up in Costco's hoarding the toilet paper again. And every single one of them was wearing a mask. And it turns out that picture was from, a few years ago. It's like,
2020.
Seriously, yeah. If it's happening, show a real picture. Don't do this bullshit stuff and trying to deceive people when you can just go out and get the real picture if it's really happening.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to go out on a fucking limb here. I bet at least half of those people, there's the one half that want attention and want to be famous and want to be popular and want to be cool. And I think the other half of them are paid trolls who are trying to discredit any revelations or information out there by making the efforts to expose this look ridiculous and stupid, like conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So they actually present bullshit conspiracy theories and evidence that is then discredited by fact checkers and others to dissuade people from paying any further attention to what's going on. Like, oh yeah, we keep seeing the bullshit. Yeah. Just like you're saying, man, why are we seeing so much bullshit? Why not put the truth out there? Because they want to discredit any attention and distract us from it. That's my guess.
It really bothers me that, people on our side, whether they're legitimate and just trying to get attention or trolls doing it to
people
discredit.
Who aren't on our side, pretending to be on our side, presenting bad evidence to discredit the movement. That's what I see a lot of.
Yeah, triple secret agent stuff. So,
yes.
But I mean, the thing that bothers me is that so many people on our side just eat that stuff up.
Yes, correct.
And they start repeating it and they start running with it. And that's why I tell everybody over and over and over again, don't believe everything we say on face value. Go and do the research for yourself.
Yeah.
How many times over the last couple of years, John, have I gone back after we discuss, some crazy claims we heard, and I'll go back and I'll look for some supporting evidence. And it turns out that the New York Post said the Washington Times said this guy said this. And everything circles back and it becomes this big circular proof ring that everybody then accepts as facts because, the Washington Times said the New York Post said that. Mm-hmm. But it's all pointing back to one guy making up some bullshit that everybody ran with.
Right. Correct.
So, that's why I tell everybody, don't have emotional reactions to this stuff. Be analytical about it. Be cold about it. Cold, hard facts and truth are all that matters.
I've been duped in the 10 years I've been on here where someone will put out an article, a news article, and it turns out after I've read it as if it was happening today, it was something that happened years ago or is completely unrelated. And I got duped into it because I did not check things very closely. I tried to do a good job, but from time to time they'll say, hey, someone fact check me. This is what I saw. I try and get as much information. At the same time, I don't want to miss something because I spent 5 days researching it and I missed 10 other things, but still I'm not perfect is what I'm saying. So yeah, fact check me.
No, I mean, we got to keep an eye on what's going on and report what's going on. But, at the same time, we got to take it with a grain of salt and look for that supporting evidence. I mean, how many times do you see a headline article, like you were just saying, that makes some claim, and then the first couple sentences you're reading about it, and then they said, well, this happened back in 1999.
Yeah.
You got to read more than that first paragraph.
Yeah. Exactly.
They'll bury the truth somewhere in paragraph 9 or something because they know nobody's getting down to that point.
That's right. But what I will tell you is there is a giant anti-American, anti-freedom, liberty, anti-free speech conspiracy right now. If you want to hang on through this, man, we got several more super chats. You can stay on if you wish.
Sure.
For example, in England, Tommy Robinson has been charged with terrorism because, he created a documentary and he wants to use free speech, a concept that is not protected by law over there. And he's being held in prison. And literally thousands and tens of thousands, and some people claim over 100,000 people in England took to the streets with British flags demanding he be released. And I don't think he's been released, but he's a political prisoner in his country. The very same thing they want to do in this country, which is take away free speech because the government claims that you and I have information, misinformation, and disinformation, and we can't be trusted with any of it. And so therefore we're not allowed. And they would criminalize free speech here. Look, man, if you want to lie away, dude. If you want to tell the truth away. I can't stop you. I shouldn't stop you. I shouldn't want to stop you. But the moment you, sir, are discredited as a serial liar who's full of shit, who just wants attention, I'm done watching you. I'm done listening.
And then I become vice president.
You had to go there. Anyways, yeah. But that's just it. But they want to criminalize speech, which is thought. My thought, your thoughts, my ability to hear other people. They want to take that away. They've lost the information war where we're fighting on a level battlefield. So they want to make it an uneven battlefield, take us off of it, and then destroy us with their version of the facts. So there are real conspiracies, no doubt. No doubt, right? And now I say if Trump loses, me and you, man, and everyone else, we will be arrested for thought crimes if we continue to try and use free speech. Right? If we dare to confront the enemies of freedom, we will be arrested in the future because these Democrat socialists are fucking tyrants. So while a lot of people out here are lying and making shit up, there's plenty of truth and reality for me and you and everyone else to talk about and point to right here. And it is our government doing these things to us. Whether you believe in total weather control or just weather manipulation, they've got the ability, they've got the tools, the resources, right? If it comes to this type of stuff, right? Waco was a real event. What you believe about it is up to you. 9/11 was a real event. The Twin Towers were brought down as well as Building 7. Whether you believe it was a conspiracy or not is up to you, but there's a lot of facts out there. There's conspiracies. They're very real. If you believe that one bullet caused 7 wounds on JFK's assassination day, right, in November of 1963, if you believe that there was one gunman there, then you're a giant fool, in my opinion. But you're entitled to your thoughts, your opinion, and whatever documentary you want to believe. But,
it'll be interesting to see if Trump actually releases the JFK files.
Trump is talking about that again because it's been asked again. I think that we have, if we're supposed to be the sovereigns of this country, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories that say that the deep state is very real, very powerful, and won't let it out. right? But I believe that we should have control of our country. I don't know if Trump can take them out. I don't know if he can minimize their authority and power. But the deep state is real, and that's why I use it as one of my disclaimers, where Congressman Hoyer, or is he Senator Hoyer, Steny Hoyer, tells us there's a deep state and they're patriots. Well, when the government has to keep secrets from me to maintain their power and authority over all of us, there's a problem. There's a problem. When they can't be truthful, there's a fucking problem. Because they're using it to maintain power and control instead of helping us all understand and be free and accept the facts. Anyways, enough of that shit. We've got more super chats. We're at the 2-hour mark. Let's roll. Let's see what's out there. I feel very sober right now, very sober and concerned about our nation. And
well,
Cottage Farm.
Cottage is going to help you out with that problem.
Oh, shit. Thank you, Cottage Farm. It's like I said last week, it's great that you're back and you're contributing to my adult delinquency, which is not a crime, by the way. And here it is, another scotch. Thank you, and thank you, Cottage Farm. Once again, I'm glad that you out there on the West Coast aren't putting up with any hurricanes. I'm glad that none of us are being threatened at the moment, but we are being threatened our liberties by Kamala Harris, and we all need to be prepared up here. And thank you for this. It's going to get me, I'm going to call this a mild sedative. Semper Fi to you, Cottage Farm. That is the nectar of the good stuff. Anyways, thank you. The whistle is officially wetted. Thank you, Cottage Farm. Man, what did you just drink there?
I got my patriotic red, white, and Pepsi Blue Ribbon.
Pepsi Blue Ribbon. That's that. Talk about good beer right there. The old days.
The boys brought some by, and it was left over in the fridge, so I just grabbed it.
Did Olympia beer ever make it from Washington State, where I think Cottage Farm is at, Olympia, make it back to Chicago?
At one point, we did have Olympia. I remember
Olympia.
people used to have to bring Coors and Olympia back here.
Yeah,
but it was around here for a while.
Colorado. Yeah. Olympia's in Tacoma, Washington. It's Tumwater. They called it Tumwater. I don't know what Tumwater is. Look out. And then there's Ham's, the beer refreshing. And they had cartoons when I was a kid. Ham's beer commercials had a cartoon bear trying to get Ham's beer. Good stuff. Anyways,
the good old days.
What's that?
The good old days.
Well, I got here to Florida. They got this beer called Youngling. Their cans look like Budweiser. I'd never heard of Youngling in my life. I didn't know beer was such a geographically isolated item in many cases.
Oh, there are so many microbrews around here. Liquor store, giant, Costco type liquor store around here has like 3 aisles front to back of nothing but micros. A lot of them local or regional.
Regional beers. I mean, not microbreweries, but big ones like, let me go with this, Sierra Nevada. Do you know Sierra Nevada beer? Do you get it there?
Yeah, we get it here.
Yeah, it was when I lived in California, it was literally right over the fucking hill from me. I had no idea. That was once a microbrewery that grew into a national beer, and now they've got breweries in that Northern California. Also over here on the East Coast, they've got another one. Beer. All right. Anyways, enough alcohol discussion. Jolene, who's next? We got Boomer with a $20 Canadian super chat. Where the fuck are, there we go, over there. Anyways, Boomer's back. And he says, Kamala's shit has the likes of Barry Obumbum rallying for her. One of the biggest frauds who ever sat in the White House. He even had Mikey posing as a female spouse when he was POTUS. I tell you, Boomer, now a lot of people believe that good old Michelle Obama, a lot of people believe that's a man. Now, I've seen numerous pictures and videos of a testicle and dick-like appendage swinging between that woman's legs. It's actually made me blush. It was awful. I felt guilty when I saw it. It was disgusting. Anyways, Obama really was a fraud. He is a fraud. His Kenyan brother says he's Kenyan. His birth certificate was fraudulent. He's awful. Obama never had a job in his life. How could anyone relate to a man who never had a job? He was a community organizer. Is that a fucking job? Where can I go apply for a job, man, to make me a community organizer?
Apparently in any major Democratic city, as long as you're meeting the correct profile there.
Yeah, it's crazy. What a fraud. I was talking to a friend earlier today saying, you know what, in order to be president, an electable president, you should have had to have a private sector job and even, like you or me, owned a business. Just like you should have been married and had children. And I think that, short of saying that and making that a requirement in the Constitution for holding office as a congressman, senator, president, you had to be a certain age so you have life experience. Life experience as a community organizer or a government employee should not count because you haven't had to suffer through 14 and 16-hour workdays, wondering if you're going to have enough fucking money to make it to the end of the week, to make payroll, to pay your fucking bills and your taxes, and then go out and continue to operate and have operating capital. It is scary as fuck as a business owner in your first few years, especially, to make it. And then once you make it, there's no fucking guarantee. So these people, they get a job in government. They never know a damn thing. They learn how to fuck the system. They eventually get to the point where they're like, hey, I know enough bullshit to get elected. And they bullshit their way into office. And they don't know anything. They don't know anything about the real world. Just like Kamala knows nothing about being a parent or being married properly. She may be married to Doug Emhoff, but she doesn't act like a wife that I've ever seen or a spouse, right? She just doesn't have the appearance of a real human being. I mean, she tried looking human today or yesterday, I don't know which day, by going to a bar with the governor of Michigan and pretending to have a conversation that accidentally got listened to by cameramen, right? Okay, so right? Trying to look and be relatable.
Yeah, but Trump staged his McDonald's event, right?
Well, he went there and everyone was going to follow him. He knew the cameras would be there, the media would be there, the people would show up. He knew that, right? He didn't pretend that it wasn't a PR stunt because it was. He admits it. It was a fucking PR stunt. He was making fun of Kamala. He wanted to fucking say he worked at McDonald's and she never did. It was an obvious political stunt that had rocket boosters under it that shot it to the fucking moon. It was hilarious. And it played well. Kamala can't pull it off.
But when they do stuff like that, that's perfectly all right, or like you said, pretending to be caught on camera not knowingly, just like pretending to get that phone call from Biden earlier on when she was handed the reins.
Yeah, that was all. It's all plastic banana, good time, rock and roll bullshit. But I mean, yeah, it's incredible. It is. She's not relatable. She just isn't. No one can relate to her except great frauds in office. I guess that's why she gets along with them so well. Anyway, it's crazy. Yeah, Mikey. It's my understanding, and this could be wrong, but according to others, Michelle Obama was registered as a man prior to Obama running for office in 2008 or for Senate in Illinois. I don't know if that's true. It could be complete fabricated bullshit to support the idea that he is a transgender person. I have no idea. I just know that the bulge in his fucking pants that wiggles around and moves when he walks or under his dress is pretty incriminating evidence right there. And the fact that there was a boyfriend named Michael Robinson, a friend of Barack's, who looks suspiciously like Michelle.
And who has never been found to disprove that it is not. I mean, wouldn't you think that Michael Robinson would be trying to capitalize on this and saying, ha, 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 you guys are a bunch of morons?
or exonerate himself. He's like, hey, man, that's me. Yeah, so I look somewhat like doppelganger. I guess Barack is attracted to someone who looks like me. What?
I mean,
say again?
Somebody pay him $1 million in a rag, one of these rag newspapers to say they broke the story and found Michael Robinson.
Ah, well, newspapers. Isn't newspapers aren't worth wiping your butt with, They just are. They're fucking rags now. They're not even worth using as a protective wrapping in packages we sell. Anyways, let's do some more. I know we're after the 2-hour mark. I know it. And we're going late and long, but we still have over 300 people here live on Sunday night. Jolene, who's next? And we've got Inigo Montoya. Unbelievable. With a $4.99 super chat donation. And he gives a faux famous quote. He says, I'd rather speak a lifetime on my knees than die on my feet. Kamala Harris. And I think the quote, and I can't remember who it was by, was I'd rather die on my feet than spend a lifetime on my knees. In other words, bowing down to another authority, being a slave. Oh, good golly, I tell you. We've got our we've got a storm in front. We truly do. Ooh, man, I want to thank you for coming on here. We got another weekend. I'm waiting for every time they say there's an October surprise, they're running out of time. In October discredits or hurts Trump.
Only October surprises they got left is Trump, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, all wrapped into one.
Right. He's the Teflon candidate is one of the nicknames, right? Nothing's sticking to him.
Don. Yeah.
Teflon Don. Yeah, thank you, man. Look, if they had something, they would have used it in 2016 or 2020. Now all of a sudden there's a woman who 31 years ago says he groped her. Turns out this model worked for Obama.
No, you got to wait at least 30 years before accusing a politician of raping you. That's the rule of thumb, I think.
That's the rule of thumb. Yeah, it's incredible. So there's nothing I think they have on him. So they're left with more bullshit lies, assassination attempts, or false flags. And I know this is way out on the conspiracy end, but canceling the election. I know that's something that you, Oliver, do not believe they're going to do is cancel the elections.
No, I don't believe they'll cancel the elections. You forgot aliens.
Say again? Oh, the alien thing, yeah. Well, even still, right? I started off the show with there is no emergency that gives anyone in government the authority to suspend or violate your rights. Period. Now, you can allow someone to violate your rights, just like you can allow someone to, I don't know, do anything. But I don't know. I do not put it past them, man, to try. Like before 9/11, I would have never said the government or any entity would try that and try pulling it off. Yet they did. And now I'm talking to you specifically, Oliver. Were you aware of the groups called Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth?
Yes.
How about?
I think I may have actually pointed them out to you.
You probably did. I probably was sauced under my desk, curled up with a bottle. Because so many people believe I'm a raging alcoholic. There's a conspiracy theory for you. But the other one was Airline Pilots for Truth, 9/11. Remember that group?
Yep.
So how could you have literally thousands of people saying what they're telling us as the truth is impossible and not believe them and instead choose to believe the 9/11 Commission?
See, as an engineer, I remember watching that unfold. And the first thing that I thought when you saw the flames and everything else, I would have expected those towers to tip over and fall to the side or something like that. Right. I never expected And I remember sitting there going, how the hell does that happen? That building collapses straight down, and the second one the same way. And then you hear about Building 7. And I know Corsair is watching this in the chat here tonight, and he always busts my balls about the not believing that it just happened the way it happened. He and I have some disagreements about that, but I do not believe there wasn't something else involved. I do not believe that plane or those planes hitting those buildings that high up caused them to implode into their own footprints. There's not enough jet fuel to cause enough heat to melt those beams at the base that everything just collapsed the way it says. Yeah. I understand how, okay, it softened the metal, things could have expanded, things fallen off of their trusses, but the entire building falling into its own footprint just doesn't make sense.
3 fucking times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, then we go to, again, back to Kennedy. Does anyone believe the magic bullet theory? That a bullet could hit Kennedy in the back, come out his neck, right? Make a turn, make another turn, go through Connolly's back, fracture several ribs, puncture his fucking lung, come out, strike him in the fucking wrist, come out his wrist, and then lodge itself in his fucking leg and not be dented, right? Jim Garrison, the district attorney, said that was one of the grossest lies ever forced on the American people. So that's the Warren Commission. And then you have the January 6th Commission, where they admitted to destroying evidence, fabricating evidence, manipulating evidence, and then ultimately destroying everything. And it was a lie intended to make the world believe that Donald Trump was involved in a conspiracy to have an insurrection and take control of the United States government.
Well, it's conspicuous.
Commission's lying their fucking asses off. So why should I believe them or believe anything is out of the realm of possibility?
No, and it may not be as malicious as what we may think there, but I mean, I know that there were also some issues with asbestos in those buildings, and that there were several $1 billion of remediation that needed to be performed and everything else. And the insurance companies ended up having to pay out a whole bunch by those buildings collapsing to make it whole. Kind of goes along with the whole Titanic theory.
The Olympic Titanic thing, yeah.
With the Olympic sister ship, yeah.
The Olympic listed to the left, and there was a problem with big time. So they needed to, the conspiracy theory says that the Titanic, they switched names, right? They painted the Titanic onto the Olympic and then sailed it as if it were the Titanic, intentionally crashed it into icebergs, which I guess would account for Captain Smith's apparent loss of all skill and experience doing what he did.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's some things we're just never going to know the truth about. All I know is that there's 3 sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth. And it's no different with this stuff. The That's truth true. Probably falls somewhere in between the craziest conspiracy theory and the government story. Truth is somewhere in between there.
Well, the multidimensional, hollow, flat Earth is one I'd like to get to the bottom of. I don't think we're going to, but again, I don't put anything past these fuckers. They may try for the first time ever to cancel a national election based on some activity or action that has occurred. And I don't know what it could be. And I dare say that whatever it is would have to be massive, extremely consequential and disastrous and horrifying, whatever it is they have in mind. And I don't know what it could be, but it is, I don't put it out of the realm of possibility. I just don't think it's going to happen. But it is in the back of my mind, Oliver, that
I'm more concerned about what happens between Election Day and January 20th.
January 6th is the next road bump for me.
Okay.
For me. You may not worry about the vice president, who's also the presidential candidate, who thinks Trump is Hitler, who may or may not want to certify the results if she says that they're not real. I
don't think that's going to be the tipping point. I think if Trump is declared the victor based on voting, whether they certify it or not, that's going to set off a whole chain of events.
Yeah, I believe that's coming. And us deplorables, yeah. Oh, by the way, Jolene says we have another super chat.
Yeah, and I'm going to let you wrap this up, and I will talk to you after the show.
Okay, brother.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Brother. Have a good week. Be safe.
Thanks, you, man. All right. And we're back. Jolene, who's up next? What do we got? Holy cow, it's Dan the Man. Woo! I tell you what. We're going to do this one right here. I am thirsty, man. I am. Here's to you, Dan. Be prepared. All of us, every last one of us, fully. Be prepared for the absolute worst, the craziest, the unthinkable, the unfathomable, the unimaginable stupidity that's out there. They'll try and make us believe anything. And only, I'm going to say this, believe half of what you see and none of what you're told. Semper Fi, down the hatch. Woo! Single malt Scotch whiskey, folks. One of the true blessings the Almighty has given to us. This right here, right? Alcohol, whiskey. Before all the pharmaceuticals, it was a pain reliever, a sleep aid, an antidepressant, well, a relaxant or depressant, an antiseptic. It was currency. It was, shall we say, a diplomatic currency. In other words, if you had some good scotch, you could make some good friends and make some good deals happen. Anyways, Dan, I want to thank you, man, for all the great support. Everyone here, great support, 100%. I am extremely worried about this week. Next Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, the 5th of November. And then I'm very, very, very worried about January 6th. And then January 20th. And then, folks, I think we're going to be, shit is hit the fan. It's just how fucking bad is it going to get? Are you prepared? Once again, all this discussion about all these topics that you guys wanted to discuss, the reason to have these discussions is to understand the world we're in. Oh, man. When that hits, boy, you can feel it. To understand the world we're in, the effects these events have. Who are the players at every level that we can see? What are the goals? What are their missions? What do they hope to achieve? What is our role in it? Or are we disposable completely? What the fuck is going on, in other words, in our world? Are we heading for more liberty? Are we heading for neo-feudalistic destruction? Are we being replaced by our own government with peoples who are used to having no rights and no value and a standard of living like that of a fucking caveman? Or can we free ourselves from that bondage that they want to put on us? Can we free ourselves and prove to ourselves and others and to them that we can self-regulate, that we have rights, that our rights must be obeyed, that the government is the servant of the people, not the master of the people? All these things are at stake right now. All these things are in play right now. If Kamala wins, she believes the government has the right to do whatever the fuck it wants. Constitution, my friends, the U.S. Constitution is at stake. They talk about saving democracy. Democracy is mob rule. And what democracy put Kamala Harris in as vice president? No, she was appointed to the place of vice president under Biden. She failed as a presidential candidate. She was the first one to drop out. She didn't even make it to 2020. She dropped out in 2019. First one to drop out. What democratic process made her the presidential candidate this time? Nothing. Nobody voted for her. Biden was forced out of office. Biden was forced out of office by Nancy Pelosi. Talk about a coup d'etat. Forced out. And Kamala was appointed liar-in-chief for the Democrats. And she has done her job, but she is not relatable. Right? They used to say that politicians were either they made sense, they understood, or they were out of touch with the common man. Look at Kamala. Does she understand anything about, well, being a human, being employed, business? Does she understand, right, family, religion, culture, traditions? She claims to be a lawyer. I don't think, I could claim to be a lawyer. I understand the law pretty well. I haven't passed a bar exam. I don't have a Juris Doctorate. But I can pretty much read the Constitution. I can pretty much tell you I know what it says. Anyways, folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Thank you one and all for coming, and share the internet address. Thumbs up. I know it's late in the show. Semper Fi, Godspeed, God bless America.